podcast where we talk about all the pills, all the Crayola 64 fucked up pills that they want you to take to, who knows, be a better man and whatever that means in today in 2026. But we have other ideas, and that's why we're here to be an alternative with an alternative that cares for men while not demeaning, belittling women because it should be possible. And I am here, Evan Mastronardi, with my co-host.
Olivier Kersey.
Yes, we are both clothes wearers, um, uh, broke havers.
Oof. That's yes, that is true. That's
Although
definitely
no,
true.
Olivier has a job. I'm still looking. I mean, I have jobs. They just don't pay me, but I do have jobs. Um, and fathers of different species. He has an actual human father. What I have is questionable every day, but it is some form of wildcat. That is not a tax dependent, and of course, in a one bedroom apartment in affordable housing in the Bronx. So that's where we are, and he is native New Yorker, but in Long Island. Wait, I always forget. You're from Queens, or
Nah, no.
or you're from Long?
I'm from Long Island, but I went
You
to college in Queens.
oh,
I
because
lived in
St. John's. Yeah.
Queens. Yeah, I lived in Queens for what 6 years, 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived a good amount of time in Queens.
Yeah, and you teach in the Bronx, so
Yep.
still, you, so just two New Yorkers. One lives with family and is married, and is a teacher and teaches martial arts. And then there's me. I do all the artistic things that make me have overdraft, and also um, the father of a cat and with a home bar. So the different parts of America's working class still in one kind of picture here, and we'll get to that later with Mr. Galloway. But first, of course, this is on the All Things Broke Network, and we're sponsored by absolutely nothing. You know the joke. You know the
Mm-hmm.
sponsor. We're continuing with Grok. So since last week, it appears that X has been pressured into not allowing real pictures of real women to be undressed. Now, the the caveat here, of course, is that AI is so good. If we're believing this is possible, I'm sure they did something, but I'm sure they didn't give a shit. And they're doing something to say they did something so Elon Musk can whatever. He's just worried about losing money. At
Yep.
some point, someone who he works with probably said, "Hey, we're getting pressure from whatever our board that we can't work with you unless you do something about this." He's like, "Sure." The AI stuff's still going to exist, and the guys that want to do this still will do enough of what they want. Because even if you don't, my guess is before you're basically like uh, photoshopping, it's basically chat GPTing or whatever, AIing a Photoshop to take a clothes off a picture that has someone with clothes on and then putting them in whatever revealing clothing. But what this will never stop because it would get at the core of AI itself is creating an AI image of someone. So there's a huge caveat here, right? Which is that AI images can still be created of someone. There's many ways for you to do that. There's many ways for you to create an AI image of an existing person. You just can't give them an existing photograph of that person and ask it to be undressed. But what's to say you can't put a photograph of a person? Let's just use celebrity for an example,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it'll be the most widely known situation. But this is happening to everyday people, that they're on the red carpet, just an everyday thing with other people, and then you tell Grok, okay, select this person, and then make them look like XYZ, whatever
Mm-hmm.
sexual nature. I still don't think it can guard against that. I think it's only saying you can't remove clothes from the person in this picture exactly as it is. Like, take off the dress of this person in this picture. But you can get an AI bot to basically create something that looks like that person in a completely separate image. So, essentially, not getting at the root of the problem. But also a band aid, because you know what else didn't happen? Elon Musk saying, y'all shouldn't do this. No, that part didn't happen, where we talk about why is this happening at all. It's like when there was a leak of a prisoner being beaten in an IDF prison, and everyone was attacking, where did the leak come from, and everyone's like, hey, someone's being raped, can we focus on that part first? And then, like, instead of leaking it, and like that's all they wanted to know, who leaked it. So it's like, again, not focusing on the right thing. But to get to something later, like that we'll talk about AI and relationships, why do so many men do this when they could have, yes, you could have porn. Yes, I understand, like we talked about last time, that we can have a crush or whatever, but like, why do you think this has become a phenomenon that, and will it, and do you honestly think that this will be stopped at all by any new policy, given the capabilities of AI and how much it's growing?
No, because one, at least in the for what I recall, U.S. Congress basically made a law being like, we're not going to regulate AI for the next 10 years. So no, at least not in America. There won't be any sort of regulation or stopping to what AI can or cannot do. It's more so like a social thing, maybe more so of intellectual property lawsuits.
Yeah.
That's about it. Now, why do men do this? To be honest, at least in my opinion, I think they just do it because it's free.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It's free, right? Um, it's like you could, theoretically speaking, right? You could pay a sex worker X amount of money. Again, nothing wrong with doing that job, right? If that's what you
Mhm.
do. That's what you do,
Mhm.
right? Pay X amount of money to in order to have sex with this person, or pay X amount of money in order to get, see these pornographic images, videos, whatever it is,
Mhm.
or just get that specific person you want to see naked or your fantasy fulfilled for free. So there's literally nothing stopping these people, right? When something's for free, unfortunately, people are going to take it and use advantage in the worst ways possible. When there's a paywall, people try to pirate it, of course, but for the most part, it's regulated to some degree. So I think that's what it is. It's just free. It's free and accessible.
Right. Which is interesting because capitalism could go against itself here. Some people could see the market and say, there's a market for this shit. Let's make it have a paywall. The
Hmm.
paywall, in turn, could perhaps make it fewer people. But at the same time, it being free is part of why X kind of likes it, because it's like, well, anyone can come here, and our advertisers here are, they want it to be free because it means more people will go on X.
Yep.
Right. So everyone, the any sort of economic or monetary argument here will only be against its own economic interests. There is no morality here. Now, I agree we should have laws, and like, some laws we can disagree with or think that they should go further, but we should have some sort of regulation either way. It does matter. But I do think from a moral standpoint, and kind of also a what's the word, pervasiveness standpoint, we need to think about, so many men are doing this. And I saw um a guy who had a decent following post a reel that said, if everyone that did that got shot, that put an image, up to undress a woman, um, the world would be a better place. And I thought to myself, okay, but then we got to be okay with the death penalty. Like, I don't want men to do this. I also think he who hath the first uncle throw the first stone. It's like there's everyone is gonna know. You know what I mean by that? Yeah, everyone's gonna know someone. Like I don't personally, but I'm sure if I went through 3 degrees of separation, I could find someone that would do that. And it's like it's wrong. A lot of things that boys do to girls, period, are wrong. And not all of these are boys, by the way, though I'm sure high school is this is running fucking rampant. Like I said, when we were in high school, there was bad shit. When the generation after us went to high school, there was worse shit. But this is insane. Like if you're going to high school while this is happening, oh my God. But I'm saying like, again, what you like, they all get shot. I don't get this. I don't get kind of this weird non-solution that the left feels sometimes very happy putting out. That's like, sure, but then you can't be anti-carceral and anti-death. Men are doing a lot of fucked up things, and we have to find out a way to reach those men, tell them the misogyny that they've been listening to is stupid, wrong. You wouldn't want it done to you or your mother, I would think, or your sister. But we have to get to the root here. We can't just say silly things that people like get applause for, but then in reality will not do, because it means someone they know is gonna get what? Gonna get got in the street? I don't get it. So I understand the anger, but I also don't see many people saying, yeah, this is why we need what I wrote a whole article about, which is interventions in schools for this shit. I don't just want interventions in schools to not do drugs and not get chlamydia. I want like things like this, like, hey, don't do this. Here's why. But I don't think our education system is going to do that. And if we did, I think like they would try to shut it down.
I would say one thing. I think maybe because I'm an educator, I think one thing I'm a little bit tired of is the expectation that the education system is going to fill in all these gaps in society, right? Right now, yes, we have an issue about these men and young boys doing this. Technically speaking, if we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about high school boys, the punishment should be the parents, right? That's where the punishment should come from. And
Mm-hmm.
the thought and the process or the teaching should be reinforced at school. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I think it should be, right? If we are
Yeah.
going to do this thing of education is going to solve it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is for me is like, all right, you want me to teach the kids, you want me to emotionally teach the kids, you want me to teach the kids about sex education. On top of sex education, you're now telling them about like what is consent, not consent, and then I have to deal with so many parents telling me, well, you told my kid this about sex, told them that about sex, so what's wrong with AI, what's not wrong with AI. It's a list upon list upon list, and I'm just thinking for myself, just as an educator, like I don't want to deal with all that. I just want to teach the kids.
Yeah.
That's that's all I want to do.
They shouldn't
And
put
I
it all
think
on you.
no, I'm not saying like you are. But I'm just saying
Yeah.
just oftentimes whenever people say, like, hey, we have a problem in society, who should solve this
Mhm.
problem? We go to the education. We say education should teach the kids not to do this, and I'm just like, okay, we will do that. And they start doing it, and people say like, why are you doing this? Because last week you said it was bad. Now we're doing this. Well, you should do this other thing. Okay, we start doing it. Just becomes a rat race of just chasing after whatever the problem in society is. Education is expected to solve it. When education fails to solve it, society gets worse. And like, well, you don't. It's just a loophole of a circle. Just. I'm not saying fuck around and find out, but it is fuck around and find out.
The, the problem is that education we've put on the public, especially public school teacher, that we pretty much put the whole thing on them. Education in an ideal society is not on the public school. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to, whatever you're tasked with, teach math, science, reading, writing. You're supposed to do that. That's it. There's supposed to be education as a whole is supposed to be multifaceted and involve, let's say, someone who is specifically trained in sex education, specifically trained in consent, specifically trained even in AI and how it relates to these things, and is going to be able to speak to students, whether after school, during school, in a PSA message, in something. Because the truth of the matter is, I can't, if I had a kid or just caring about society, I don't trust half these parents. But my kid's got to be next to them. So what are we going to do then? I'm not going to tell you how to parent, but I am going to put something in place so that whatever dumb shit you tell your kid, there's a barrier, a boundary between that and my kid. So if you tell your kid, pull the girl's hair so she'll know you like her, and someone in the school is saying, no, that's how assault, abuse, all these or toxic relationships start, that matters. But the problem is, I agree, it's being put on you. Everything, in some degrees, public school teachers and the police also, everything's thrown at them. And public school teachers, for all, honestly, I trust more than the police half the time to actually know, not that you're supposed to, but just because of what you go through and the fact that ideally you care about the kids will de-escalate things. Police won't. But there's still things thrown at them that shouldn't be. Like, again, why is a man with a gun showing up to a small misdemeanor infraction of like every single, I don't know, fucking double parked car? Okay? Doesn't need to happen. Why is a public school teacher supposed to break up all the fights? You know, you're supposed to be sometimes a second father figure. That's not fair. Get all the supplies, you know, be the therapist, also teach them about Mesopotamia.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How to add. It's like throwing too much. We need to, but the thing is, like, I don't expect the Elon Musks of the world to do anything meaningful. He will always do what's in his interest. What bothers me is the liberals who act like they care, have money, and do nothing. There's a lot of things you can do. If you really wanted to invest in education, you can invest in a program that goes to school. I had motherfuckers come to my school about everything. Not about this, but they told me about gangs. They told me about guns. They told me about weed. They told me about, like, just about people that I had no idea. They're not part of the school. They just go around saying, don't do drugs, part of the DARE program or part of something else. There was Scared Straight back in the day. There's all these things. Like, these things exist. They just don't exist for other things besides, like, what we consider violent urban crime and drugs. And the worst things, I'm not saying those things don't matter. They do. But the worst thing in the world isn't if your kid smokes weed. For God's sake, it's even legal now. The worst thing is if your kid is a rapist, okay? That's the worst thing. Or your kid thinks it's normal. And again, I'm not with this guy that says just shoot all the, like, that's stupid. But if a 14-year-old boy takes a 14-year-old girl, perts her on Grok, yes, there's the illicit aspect of it, but I'm saying even besides that, her life now has this thing connected to it. Throughout the rest of her life, this kid who didn't have all his brain fucking formed did some stupid shit that now he will have, if he has a conscience, hopefully he will have to live with doing it, and she will have to live with the effects of it being done to her. What's to stop any of that shit from happening? Nothing. So at least you're not going to have... Did you watch Adolescence, by the way, the Netflix series?
No, not yet. I want to, though. I'm so interested.
You should, because it deals with some of this shit. The father's just crying at the end saying it was the computer. Because what I liked about it is that the father tried. A lot of times in these things where the kid ends up being a murderer, it's like a broken home. They're absolutely poor. Here it's working class. They're not rich, but the father works hard, but he cares about his kid. He doesn't hit his kid, doesn't abuse his kid. He's not perfect, but he's trying. And He just cries at the end saying it was the fucking computer. And like, that is so true. I'm not saying this is going to solve everything, because still you'll have the fucking computer that the kid's always going to be one step ahead of you. The world is moving for profit with computers. It's not moving for safety. It's not moving for people's whatever well-being. But at least what you can do is, as a parent, but because some parents raise their kids to be little misogynists walking around, and girls who terrorize other girls. There's nothing stopping a girl doing this to another girl too, or a boy doing it to another boy for that matter. But you know what? The least we can do is say, well, at least here in this school, we don't tolerate that shit. At least here in this school, we categorically think it's wrong for you to do this. And if the people who really act like they care about this wanted to, they could start a whole bunch of initiatives online, send people to schools, pay for public schools, like have a grant. Bro, I know how these things work. I worked in public schools. Have a grant-funded position, right? The school doesn't pay for the person. Some nonprofit pays for the motherfucker. This guy goes around, or this woman, or this whomever goes around, puts up a presentation, like shows like they used to do with sending us cops and incarcerated people, whatever. But yeah, that ain't happening.
No. And unfortunately, speaking about like the DARE program and Scared Straight,
Yeah.
so I had a therapist who told me like, yeah, those programs actually make it worse.
Of course.
Right? They like, statistically speaking, they make it worse because kids go like, wait a minute, there's more drugs out there.
There's more shit.
Right? They're like, I could do these drugs. That's what this effect is. I want to try it. And they don't really do a good job of doing that.
Yeah.
And essentially from that therapist, if I recall correctly, essentially he just said like, if you want your kids not to do drugs or get into really dumb, stupid shit, is to put them into more positive groups, positive settings, and just keep them busy, right? After school programs, after school sports, make them do art stuff, make them do some sort of physical thing, and just keep them busy. And on the weekends, keep them busy. So that was his advice of doing that. And I'm thinking back to at least some, and I know my evidence here is just myself, so it's anecdotal, it's just myself. However, thinking back to myself back in high school, yeah, I was busy all the time. I was literally, at least in high school, I was almost every single day after school, and I would take the after school bus to go home. So I would get home at like 6:00, 6:30, and then do my homework and then go to sleep essentially. But if I'm trying to be honest with myself, if I had grok like I did in high school, would I have used it in high school? Honestly, probably yeah. If I'm being honest, yes, I probably would in high school. But then like after about a week or two, I'd be like, this is just weird. I would like to believe and think that it was just weird, because I think back to in high school, how all the time my guy friends would be like, look at this, look at this celebrity, her leaks came out. Oh, let me see it, right? Because I'm a 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm just oh, let me see it. And after about like a week of it happening, I was kind of like, this is just weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're inventing things that literally makes it easy as possible to go to the worst of people's tendencies, right? So you tell a teenage boy, and I know a lot of these are grown-ass men, but to be honest with you, what's the Frederick Douglass quote? It's easier to raise
raise good boys than to fix
broken men. Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm focused on this, because look, I told you, like, everybody probably got an uncle that would do it too, and that's a whole other conversation. That we're surrounded by imperfect, sexist, misogynist men that we just quietly think, oh, that's a good one, he's my uncle. But all these other creepy perverts, like, okay, like I said, throw the first stone, throw the first uncle, okay? Because no one's gonna want theirs. Nobody should be fucking getting shot. We need to get men to do the old. This is how I look at it. The old motherfuckers need harm reduction. as little harm as possible. Get them, find a way to get their ass banned from X, right? They don't need X to function, okay? Or find a way, like we talked about last time, have it on their profile. This person used this for this. And then the kids, we got to build them. Then it's not like the bare minimum is harm reduction. For the kids, it's build them with better values, build them with empowerment, autonomy, morals, strength, backbone, all of these things that you can get through martial arts, right? That you
Yeah.
could get through after school programs. Like when I went to your school, what was it? Like 50, the VP said like 50% of them were in, like a lot were in after school programs.
Yeah. A lot of kids are in after school stuff.
They need to be many times also because maybe based on when, because the school ends 2 hours before like a lot of parents even get out of work.
Yep.
If they're both working, and sometimes a lot of them come from single parent homes. So it's like we're setting up easy access to the worst of behavior with the least amount of guidance in a population that many times already has limited guidance. Sometimes not even from like even in adolescence, the father was just working all the damn time. It wasn't that he was like completely absent. He had like 2 jobs and he just needed to work to fucking get money. And he wasn't telling his kid to do any of this shit. But it's hard to have guidance then. And a lot of moms, and I have some firsthand experience with this, unfortunately, sometimes don't want to learn about boys. They just kind of like, they're like, okay, a boy will be a boy or whatever. I wanted a girl. Here's a boy. And like, I don't want to know what they're going through. I don't want to know all these things. I'll never get it. It's like, no. You got to know. You got to try. Not saying you got to know about Grok and everything, but anyway, I recommend you watch it because it also showed like the role of like everyone. Like you said, the parents do have a role here. What can the school do? What can, in a better world, even the police do, or a safety force? But yeah, at a foundational level, it doesn't matter what X does. Like again, the littlest band-aid here is not going to change the fact that we need more men to understand, because the truth of the matter is most of them are not, they're make everything's public here. You use Grok, you ask Grok to do something, you put it on there. It's not just like you want to see someone, you want to embarrass, humiliate someone. So this is more than just a mere desire for seeing a crush or someone that you like naked. This is like, that thing like, oh, the person that I can't get off my mind, by the way, she's also a whore and a slut. It's like that type of red pill stupidity. It's like, what are you even doing? It's like, I need to, again, like I open this, I need to belittle this person. This person doesn't want me. I need to belittle them to feel better about myself. And it's also in my mind, one of the least masculine and one of the most fragile things to do, because a lot of life is rejection. You're gonna fucking do that to every time a girl doesn't want to go out with you. You're gonna want to like have her on blast on X. Like, how bitch made is that?
So this is the part where I get to make fun of Red Pill.
Clearly.
Yeah. The answer, if you're a Red Pill, the answer is yes, you do that, right? Because I don't know if you saw, but the video of Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate made a video explaining why he lost the fight to whoever the guy was in the boxing, right? When you lose, it's rejection, right? You got rejected from winning. Essentially, was his argument was that he was more able to handle the loss than his opponent could have, and that's the reason why he lost. God or whoever up there made him lose because he's built himself up so well that he could handle loss better than his opponent could have.
I went out again. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But most of what you said I didn't get.
Evan's gone.
Now I can hear you.
Ah, okay.
Well, I'm gonna just say I'm sure Olivia said some scintillating shit.
I
Um,
didn't.
and I'll hear it when I get the recording because I did hear most of it. But yeah, I'm sorry. Just like quick summary if you can, because I did fucking audio.
Yeah, no problem. But I would say that I've really been thinking about like what is my personal goal with this podcast,
Mm-hmm,
and the way I would sum it up is the following.
mm-hmm,
My personal goal is that I would rather live in society, at
mm-hmm,
least when it comes to just men, right? Cis
mm-hmm,
men. Let's think about it. Let me just say men in general, right?
mm-hmm.
I'd much rather live in society full of Forrest Gumps than Andrew Tates,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I say that because, at least for me as an educator, everyone's like, you gotta educate the kids and da da da, make them read and write. I'm like, that's great. I'm glad you have the skill to read and write. Andrew Tate knows how to read and write.
Right.
Guys from Fresh and Fit knows how to read and write. They are technically intellectual people, but they say some of the most heinous and dumbest things in the world. Then you have Forrest Gump,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yes, he's a fictional character. I know that.
Yeah, yeah,
But he's a character or a person who has a good heart and wants to do good things to other people, right?
yeah.
And he also knows that he has special needs,
Mm-hmm,
right? He knows the fact that he has a learning disability or mental disability, right? He understands that, but
mm-hmm,
he doesn't want to hurt other people.
mm-hmm,
These red pillars, these
mm-hmm.
red dumbass motherfuckers, are
Yeah.
literally justifying the fact that we should be the best on top. We're the alphas. We're the best
Mm-hmm,
things, only because we are quote unquote maybe smarter than them, smarter than women, or whatever the fuck else. It's stupid ass bullshit. Okay, it's pseudo intelligence.
mm-hmm.
It is pseudo masculine. You're just gay. Okay, you're gay. It's okay if you are. Just be gay.
It is.
All right, because you want the best looking woman. I'm sorry to say this, right? But whoever the best looking person is, they're gonna get old. You're gonna get old. You're not gonna be
Mm-hmm,
the best. You're not gonna be number one all the time. It's
mm-hmm.
just not possible. Everyone has a fall off. Side note: J. Cole's coming with a new album called The Fall Off, which is
Called
why I
the
said the
fall off.
fall off.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it
So,
is. Yeah.
but yeah, that's my goal. I
And to
wanna.
just to extrapolate, when you say you're gay, it's because they care more about what other men think than actually the women.
Yes, like if you if
Yeah.
you if you're with your woman or your girlfriend, whoever it is, and
Right.
you're thinking to yourself, I
Oh,
wonder
I
what
got
other
upset.
guys, I wonder what other guys think about my girl. Sir, you're gay. If you're trying to appeal to the male gaze more so than the female gaze, you're
Mm,
gay.
mm.
You're gay. And again, if you are gay, just be that. I don't care. I don't care.
But even like, yeah, but gay men aren't even doing this. Like,
No.
this is, in fact, the male gaze, and it's so funny. It happens to rhyme gaze anyway.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
the male gaze. It really is funny, given what you just said. Now that I think about it, is so much about impressing. Like, I'm just thinking of a dude like banging his girl, thinking, "Oh, Todd is gonna like this." It's like my guy. Yo, it keep cutting out at like the best parts. Yo, what the fuck? Yo, Verizon, what are you doing, bro?
They
Hello.
hate you, man. That's what it is. They hate you. I can hear you. They hate you. I can
Yo,
hear
one
you.
of the ear. This is brand new. One of the ears just died. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, I agree with you, and I agree with you more than just on this topic. Like, I always thought that I need to read more books. I do read. I read a lot of articles, and there's some important books I read, but there's a lot of books I have not read. And I was like, damn it, everyone's reading like 5 books a week. And then I saw, do you know who Alan Dershowitz is?
No, but I feel like I know that name.
Well, he first became famous because of the OJ trial. He was one of OJ's lawyers.
Uh huh.
But now he's a defender of Epstein. He knew it. Well, he claims he didn't know. He knew him. He was his personal lawyer, by the way. Um, and apparently was on the island and is
also someone who has said very Islamophobic things. And it's like, anyway, for the most part of his life, he has not contributed positively to morality and human rights. And he is very well read. He is at one point, I think, a tenured Harvard. I think he was during the OJ trial, even like a tenured Harvard law professor. Him, Antonin Scalia, another guy, right? Very supposed to be intelligent. Steve Bannon. You don't think they read books?
Oh, they have
They
absolutely.
read a lot of books. Also, I meet a ton of. I know it's skewed conservative. Sure, I meet a lot of leftist people that treat independently humans like shit, and then go out and talk about like grand macros and like the proletariat. It's like, okay, but how about one proletariat? Can you like treat one proly motherfucker nicely, please? Like 1-to-1 proletariat matters too, bro. It's like I've met too many people that read a lot that treat other people like shit. That it's not that I don't want to read a lot, but I'm with your point that at the end of the core thing, I would rather be a good person and maybe not know every Karl Marx or every fucking Antonin Scalia quote than the converse. Because what is any of this? What was I think Malcolm X said like he had a big quote about theory and practice, basically. Like
Yep.
what is theory with no practice, essentially? Um, so that's how I feel. Like theory's great. I'm practice first. And I'll read and I'll try to bolster my practice through theory, but at the end of the day, I'm practice first. And I think that's a beautiful quote. You said you would want more Forrest Gumps than Andrew Tate's. And I on a that's on a macro level. On a micro level, I think about what we call, and a podcast I just listened to said something similar. I call it preferred flaws. We talk a
Mm.
lot about preferred green flags and like talk about green flags, we talk about red flags, more red flags.
Hmm.
You know what we don't talk about? Would you There's all these would you rather, like jump off a cliff or jump off this. How about this? Would you rather a piece of shit trash motherfucker who works out or an uncoordinated motherfucker who is like treating you with great respect and decency and mindfulness and care? Honestly, that's the preferred flaw, but it's not by society. And it's the same thing what you're saying about with men, but it's also what society pretty much preaches when it comes to which man is more dateable. And the man who's more dateable matters because that's who, guess what? You procreate with.
Yeah.
The next generation is through that motherfucker.
Yep.
So it does matter. I don't buy like when people are like, dating's like, oh, love is it's first of all, it's barely love half the time. Second of all, attraction, some of it is innate, sure. Like you just like someone's face, great. But a lot of it is also socialized. So if we grew up more thinking a guy who's uncoordinated and stumbles can be equally masculine and attractive as a guy who is roided up or not roided up. I'm not saying they all do roids. Many of them don't. But whatever, spends more time at the gym than he should with his girlfriend's emotional availability. Um, if we kind of prioritize those things differently as a society, for relationships too. And a lot of people will think, well, why does it have to be one of those two things? It's never going to be like, it's always a spectrum. Not everyone is a Forrest Gump or an Andrew Tate. Not everyone
Hmm.
is this or that. But we end up making choices anyway. Think about the choices we make. We end up giving the Tates the more of the platform. We end up coalescing. There's a reason Donald fucking Trump is president. Even there's a reason his only candidate against it was a Joe Biden. Like, we always end up coalescing to a certain type, especially with men, of masculine quality. We are making choices all the time. Okay? We need to decide that, yeah, we need to make a conscious decision that if there's going to be a flaw, it's not a flaw that harms someone else. It's not a flaw that is violent. It's not a flaw that is abusive. If there's going to be a flaw, it's that he trips sometimes, that he drops something, that he's uncoordinated.
See
Like
now,
we have to get to that baseline acknowledgement.
what if the clumsy person, right, trips and
Is
falls?
also a piece of shit.
No.
That sucks. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was gonna make a joke. Like, what if the clumsy person, trips and falls? They're cooking with, they're chopping up onions. They trip and fall, and guess what? Now you got a knife in your leg, right? Because they're just that clumsy,
Yo,
right?
shit.
It, sure, they can call 911, but they're not good with blood, so they pass out.
Listen, that is certainly the worst of the clumsy motherfuckers, and it's
That's
not
yep.
good. But also,
Mhm.
I will raise you the worst of the abusive motherfuckers with intent who can still dunk.
Yep.
And what is the cops are called either way, my friend.
Oh yes, the cops are called either
But
way.
one has intent, one does not. And don't get me wrong, I want to raise men. I was talking with my boy that ideally you want to raise men that like this is why it's good you like teach martial arts who can defend themselves, who practice physical and mental strength. All of these qualities matter. But we do have to say something is like everything can't be the same. We again, we make these choices. We tend to make choices all the time with who we elect, with who we follow, with who we're friends with or romantic partners with, and especially when it comes to men, we tend to either select or say as messaging in society through parents, go for the person generally who kind of is above the others and above the others not really in character but kind of in power, like is louder, stronger,
Just more
or
popular.
kind of we always put that as like this more popular, like we always put that as kind of the safe thing. Like at least you got one that can do that, and that's better than whatever someone who's a complete loser. I don't want both. Listen. I want dudes to know where the clitoris is. Okay. I want boys and men to be sexually educated. I want them to like work out and like all of these things. But but we do have to have this baseline that a man is not more of a man for abuse and violence. He is less of a man for abuse and violence. It is less attractive. And I'm not saying he has to from the start be punching people. There's a lot of people that you can tell just in how they put others down and how they talk or put you down, but even just how they put others down. I personally, if I'm on a date with a woman and she's putting other women down a lot, it's unattractive to me. Like, oh, I'm not one of these bitches. It's like, yeah, you know what? They need to say that. You can say there are things you value that other women may not, and it can be something that I value too, and that's great. But to really put down other women and like kind of try to give snide remarks that like, yeah, look at her. Like I stopped talking to a woman once because she was thin and fit, and she was talking about like she was talking about our first women wearing makeup to the gym, and I was like, okay, I guess that's kind of different. Like whatever. I don't. People do things they want to do. I don't get it, but whatever. It doesn't harm me. And then she was like, and on top of that, these bitches are fat. And I was like, the fuck. I was like, yeah, I'm just not gonna talk to you anymore.
Wow, that came out
You
of
seem too
left field.
mad.
That came out of left field. Jesus. Um,
And
Nah,
yeah,
what I at least what I do is like if I'm in a friend group, right? Again, if it's a friend group and everyone is roasting each other and it's all fun and games, like it's all equal, fine,
yeah,
right?
hmm
That's one
right,
thing. It's different when it's like, we're all roasting each other and like one person goes too far and they keep going and that
yeah,
person is like they're
right,
excluding that person, right?
hmm
First one I do is I roast that person back. The one who's excluding the other one, right? Because I can take it.
hmm
For the most part, I don't care.
yeah,
I'll embarrass myself every day, all day, 24/7, right? So I'm calling that person
yeah,
out because of what they're doing to the other person, and like, for the most part,
hmm
at least what I've seen is like, guys be like, "Yo, man, chill. That's not funny. That's not funny. What are you talking about? You're making jokes before. Now it's not funny because you getting
yeah,
that heat.
yeah,
That makes no sense, right? You can't be shooting. You can't be going
yeah,
around and be like, I got the biggest
right,
gun, and you get shot at once, and you're like, Oh, all right, no, oh man, peace, truce.
I
Nah,
love that. Yeah.
nah, you got you those, and also those are the same. Those are the
Right.
same kids who are just like, oh, we're gonna play tag, or we're gonna play whatever it is, and then they're it, and then they start crying. No, we're playing a game, right? It's either everyone's having
Yeah.
fun, or we're not. It's that simple.
Yeah. And they do that all the time, these fucking influencers, man. I'm not saying some people are influencers aren't decent people, but I was just told, and streamers at that, as someone who I believe puts decent content out on Twitch, including right now, shout out to like the 5.5 people. Like some of these streamers that got millions of followers, I was just talking to someone today. Apparently, this dude was saying white supremacist shit, did a Nazi salute, and he's also Jewish. What the fuck?
Okay.
And then he's like, and then later, and he's 25, by the way, not a child, 25. But we see this happen with white men. They become children when they're not children.
Mm-hmm.
And when all these people were getting at him, I forgot what the streamer's name is. He was like, "Oh, I'm just a Jewish boy. I'm just a boy," and like, I don't know why all these men are getting angry at me. It's like, motherfucker, you put up like Nazi symbols. That's big boy stuff. That is you got out like you were talking about guns. You brought out the Glock. Don't be surprised when someone else is. I was gonna make an Omar. I don't know if you watched The Wire. Don't be surprised when Omar coming. All right.
There's one video of a guy back I think at 20. This is a few years ago. He's in his 50s or 60s. Long story short,
Mhm.
the local police show up, and he knows the police. He knows them by first name. And the police like, hey, I'm gonna say Bill, right? Like, hey, Bill, like, come on out. We don't want to do this. And he's like, nah, man, we're gonna go out, right? He starts shooting at the police, right? Literally starts shooting at the police. Okay, and he's like, I'm not giving up. Whatever it is, I forgot what he's fighting for. It doesn't matter. He is going gun blazing against people that he knows. Okay, he gets shot once, I think, in the hand, and he goes, all right, I'm done. Stop. He puts out his gun. He's like, I'm sorry. that's what comes to my head whenever I think of those people. The people who are loud and proud, and then they're like, actually a little bit of accountability, and they just crumble. Again, as I said in the last podcast, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump. I'm gonna throw Mark Zuckerberg, almost any, in my opinion, almost any billionaire. I realize the fact that his name mostly
Punk
white
ass
men.
at this point too. I
All
know he
right, I
shadow
mean,
bans us. Fuck that.
I don't give a shit. Suck my left nut because you don't come out the right one. Jesus.
What? That's a good one. What's the one Mero says? SMDFTB,
What is that?
and then let them figure out SMD
Suck my dick, yeah.
FTB
Nothing.
from
From the back? Jesus Christ. God damn. Jeez.
Jesus and Mero, the OGs. Oh, when you were like, you had like, what were you talking about? Did you ever watch Boondocks?
Yeah, of course.
You remember the Stink Meaner episode where he's like, you were talking all that good shit a second ago, and then he kicks the dude in the parking lot? And it shows him kicking him 3 times. That's one of the hardest times I ever laughed.
Oh,
Because it
man.
shows him and he tells him, you eat a dick. And then he does it like there's like a replay from like 3 different angles of him kicking the dude in the parking lot. I was done. Anyway, all of this ties into like fake masculinity.
Yep.
Like performative. That's what performative is. It's all this nonsense. Okay. And to get now into Galloway, what he's talking about is more these deeper qualities that look, there's a lot of things that were terrible decades ago, but there is something that's been lost with regards to hard work and integrity. I still think decades ago, a man who worked with his hands, who built shit, who had
Mhm.
2-3 jobs, that guy got a lot of respect, including in the dating world and everything, because like there was this notion that part of masculinity and being a man is hard work, is dedication, is integrity, being a guy of your word. Where the fuck did any of that go? Hyper capitalism in some ways like broke up that, and now it's like lie if you have to, cheat if you have to, work as little as you have to. get ahead, and that's the guy to look up to. Like there are certain and I think I was kind of trying to bring back these, saying no, those, that part of the old guard was good. There's other shit that was bad, but that part of the old guard we should bring back in our masculinity. And where I disagree with him, as I've told you, is that I think men who date, who are in the dating field, should go and explore many cultures, because especially people who are born elsewhere, there are many other cultures. In my experience, I can say women from South America, women from the Middle East, Southeast Asia, global South, that the Caribbean, even just talking like with your wife the other day, like, who value men who still do these things. It
Hmm.
it it may be considered to some traditional, like, oh, he's a hard worker, he knows how to build something, he knows, but like, that's a working class person. It's like this weird thing where aspects of traditional masculinity kind of intersect now with a broader spectrum of working class people that are actually now left out of a lot of the dating pool and the economic pool. And there are still people of other cultures that will value if you're a man who works hard. There's still people who aren't trying to date, as they call, hypergamously, which means to date higher in a social class. There's still women who will date men and value these things because that's what their father did. That's what they grew up valuing. But you have to get past this notion of constantly thinking men have to. Men are talking a lot about women and looking at social class, but men have to get past it, because a lot of times, if I bring that up, it's easy for someone to say, well, wait a second, why is this Harvard educated guy going into the South Bronx to find a girl? Why the fuck not? Is it about what, social class, or is it about a relationship, right? Why is this person going to Jackson Heights, going to Harlem? It's like, well, first of all, Harlem's really expensive, but wherever to find, it's like, why? Is that person lesser than? Men have to check themselves on social class too sometimes. Because if you're only looking at the baddie that got this career and this and trying to be a power couple, or the person who, or a person like the person who rejected you looking for someone of a higher social class, you're just consistently in the pool of people who have devalued you. Go to a different pool and be open minded, because people of all complexions and backgrounds can be great partners, regardless how much they make. So I think some men need to check themselves on that too, on dating, on social class, regardless what degree they have, what job they have. Have you seen? Do you think that too? Do you think some men also kind of have a bit of a prejudice there?
I'm gonna argue, say like American men. That's what I'm gonna say, right? I do think it's partially
Yeah.
because America is America centered, self centered, and we think we are number one in everything. And I think partially because we
Hmm.
think we're number one, therefore the women that we date or the women that we want to date will also be number one, right? Um, and at least for myself, right? I've been to Haiti, been to Canada, France, Italy, the Vatican doesn't.
Hmm.
I mean, it is a country. Where else?
Yeah.
Ireland. Yeah, I've been to a few countries, right? I've yet to been
Hmm.
to an Asian country, which I want to do, one day. But anyways, but like
Absolutely.
even all of those women, even like individual as a country, they all value things differently than we do, right?
Hmm.
And my thing is this, right? If you as a man are dating the same type of woman or dating the same pool, and you're like, I'm not getting the results that I would like, I would put it like this. If you punch a wall, I'm going to put it a brick wall. If you punch a brick wall and you're like, I'm trying to get my hand stronger, but each time I punch a brick wall, I just break my hand. Do you think maybe, just maybe after you break your hand the third or fourth time, you would stop and do something else? Right? All I'm trying to say is the fact, or I agree with you, is the fact that, like, hey, do something else. I'm going to quote T Pain, like Jesus told type of Christ, do something else,
Hmm.
date somebody else, right? Stop going to the same type of whatever it is or whatever your ideal woman is, she doesn't exist. Okay, whatever your ideal woman is, she doesn't exist.
Right.
Right? It doesn't exist. Accept that, and you're not ideal either. All right, you're not the ideal man. That's another thing about those red pillars. Fuck you guys for saying you're the ideal man. None of you are. Okay, I'm not. No, there's no one's the ideal man. Okay. Anyways, all that to say is like, yeah, you need to go out. When I say go out, I mean literally like go to another country, and don't just go to another country and just stay in the American area. Go to another country and try to embrace the other ideals, right? Because if you don't, you won't learn more about yourself. If you don't know what, if you don't know more about yourself, then what can you say? What can you really do? Right? You're just limited to what you know, and the more you know, the better you could do. Rather, the more you know, the better you can do. It's up to you if
Yes.
you want to do better or not.
Right. But some people just want to also complain and continue to be sexist. Like we've said multiple times, the red pill community is none of these communities are about supporting men, having them have meaningful, happy lives, because in those lives you don't need a villain. You don't need someone to blame. What continues to fuel a lot of these communities is constantly having someone to blame. Finding a woman that breaks the stereotypes you've had isn't good for these communities, right? And the same goes the other way. Showing men that break the stereotype of many men isn't good for many of the platforms that kind of aggregate men to kind of what I like to call, it's better to then just pick the devil you know, and aren't open to men who are alternatives in all kinds backgrounds, heights, weights, shapes, complexions, economic background. But what I found is that because you and I live, I mean, you have literally found, I mean, you proved my point. You have found someone from the Caribbean who doesn't value these things the way they're many times presented on these podcasts of all these women are leaving these men behind because of their social class. Well, you keep chasing women, one of a certain social class, or even if she's not of a certain social class, who keeps chasing that social class. Stop doing that. They're, like I said, a lot of these people haven't touched grass. A lot of these people haven't touched working class places. Grass, working class rhymes. A lot of these people haven't gone, like I said, many people in the immigrant communities in New York City, especially if you live in New York City, there's no excuse. Because if you live in New York City, if you live in LA, Chicago, Miami, all these places that have such, and New Jersey, DC, a lot of places that have immigrant communities, and like you said about going abroad, but even if you didn't, even if you just visited some of these, tried to have friends and tried to understand some of these places, and not in a tokenized way, not like, oh, she's a spicy caliente Latina like Sofia Vergara. That's like, shut the fuck up. Like, do you know the spectrum of the African diaspora Latino, which is obviously partially colonized? So you could talk about Taino, you could talk about Aztec, you could talk about Mayan, you could talk about all these different cultures. If you're talking in South Asia, Tamil diaspora, do you know how fucking rich all these cultures are? Like, there's so much to learn. There's so many different people that have different ways of thinking, of, yes, beautiful cuisine, customs, but also thoughts about dating. Now, every culture is going to have its problems. I'm not saying that, but again, preferred flaws. I will take time and time again someone who maybe is more traditional and wants to think about being steady or exclusive and marriage and kids sooner than I would like to, or I expect to. I would take that any day over someone that doesn't even let me qualify as a masculine entity and dateable, and I'm just continuing trying to chase and be good enough. I will take that any day of the week. Okay? Because I can work with that. I'm not going to ever try to be good. I am man enough for anybody. Not ever. It's a wasted battle to both bitch and moan that women are rejecting you, but then also trying to comport yourself to the women who are rejecting you. It's an insane, it really is like a sickness to some extent. And some men who even aren't red pillars have it. Don't get me wrong, because that's a self-esteem thing.
Yep.
But for a lot of the red pillars, there it's this crazy cycle, because as long as you keep going for women who, and I'm not saying some of them can reject you for fucking not taking a shower for 5 days. Some of
Yeah.
them can reject you for being like a dry piece of shit. But even if there are women who are just very superficial, they all need to be the villain, the wife, the person who's kind, the person who values you as an ambitious, good worker. First of all, it shows that there are things you can do to work on yourself that actually matter. That it's not just about blaming everyone. It's like working on yourself, working on yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. And also, of course, exposure makes you less anything sexist, racist, homophobic. So the community, the ecosystem of it needs those. But what I would say, even someone like Galloway, who I think means well, is let's implore men also to be not just do all these things to be better. Yes, hit the gym, care about yourself, work on yourself for yourself, and also, yeah, to be a more attractive partner, sure. But also, don't just expand that part of it, expand your horizons in class, in race, in culture, in custom. Because if you're letting that filter too much, remember, you're doing what a lot of women are doing, or you claiming are doing to you. And they are. Like, I've been filtered out based on my height in real time. Okay? I know what it's like. But I went and met other communities where that mattered less. I went to and met other communities where my height mattered less. I could be short and still be a man. Many times because their dad was short and still a man. Because their uncle, their brother, I where they work 2-3 jobs. So if I work 2-3 jobs, they're like, okay, that's normal. So I implore that. And the other reason I think that's true is because the expansion we don't want to go to, speaking of AI earlier, is so many men just get so frustrated, right? That they end up with AI relationships.
Ay.
So I'm worried more about like the generation you teach doing that. I think our generation at least kind of had enough, even though online dating is shit, at the end of the day, most of the time, we did have to watch out for bots and fake profiles, but most of the time, especially if you're smart, there's a person on the other end of that. Side note, when you were online dating, did you ever have to verify if it was a real person?
Oh yeah, yeah, multiple times. There
How
was
did you
one.
do that? Like, what did you look for?
So there was one person who it was like 10 o'clock at night. We matched immediately. And I was like, all right, that's weird. And we would text back and forth, and then they asked for a number, and I was like, all right, it's just a number, whatever. Gave him my number, start texting, and then it became left field. They're like, hey, my friend saw your profile and thought you were cute. And I was like, all right, okay, all right.
You getting robbed?
Oh yeah, right. So there was that, and then the person sent me like a photo from like 2009, a potato. It was a potato photo. It's like, this is who I am. I'm just like, and then they randomly sent me like 2 or 3 nudes. I was like, all right. So I took the image of the first one of the person, right?
Mhm.
Google reverse image that, and it showed up as someone else, all the thing, and like, yeah, show me up, like meet me at this place at this time, da da da. We can hang out. I'm like, it is 11 o'clock at night in Queens. I know martial arts, but I don't know gun martial arts. Okay, I
I was just
can't.
about to say
All
anti-Glock
right.
arts.
Nope. I don't know that. All right. And one of my students actually asked me, he's like, hey, Olivier, what would you do if someone had a gun to your face? I'm putting my hands up.
Mhm.
This is what I'm doing because
Mhm.
I'm not faster than a bullet. I'm
I'm not.
sorry.
Nope.
I'm
Especially at point blank range.
point blank, no. If it's a knife, depending how they hold it, I have a shot.
You
I
got a
have a
shot.
shot.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed, but I have a shot. Anyways,
All
all
right.
that to say was
Yeah.
the fact that I looked at this, I was just like, I didn't even respond. I just went to sleep, honestly.
Yeah.
Other times that I learned this after the
Mhm.
fact, um, was like this person was saying like, "Hey, send me a photo of a
Mhm.
potato, of you holding a potato," and the person
Okay.
just respond back, just be like an AI thing and be like,
Yeah.
no, I don't think you understand. Send me
Mm-hmm.
a photo of you holding a potato. And they're like, I think you're
Mhm.
cute. I'm glad you think I'm cute.
Mhm.
Sarah, please send me a photo of you holding a
Yeah,
potato.
yeah.
So so that'd be my advice to do that.
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
if someone's texting you immediately or you match
Mhm.
immediately and they are like, yeah, let's meet right now,
Mhm.
you're gonna get robbed.
Mhm.
It's not real. Just stay home, go to sleep.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I got two funny stories, but first I gotta pee, and thankfully we're not. Well, we're half live, but there's two people watching, and one of them's a bot anyway. So be
Woo!
right back.
Hey man, no problem. Ugh. This is the best part. This is the part where I get to talk smack about the red pills. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not talking smack about red pills. Shoot, I didn't know that we're even on Twitch or stream or whatever it is. I just thought we're just recording a podcast by itself. I didn't know that. And to the other person who is watching, I appreciate you. I love you, but not like romantically, but like I love you as a human being. I hope you're doing well, and I need to shave. I also need to get a better webcam because right now I look like I look very bright. I look like I'm white out. I look like a failed witness protection. That's what I look like right now. I look like a failed witness protection. I wonder if this will make it any better. Hold on, let me see. Oh, I do look better from there. It made no difference. Made no difference. Coming over here, I look a little bit better from here, slightly, not much. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. If you don't know, I have ADHD. It's mild. It's not that bad, but it's it's like I have lots of side stories. Like I can talk about a thing about a thing about a thing. And first I thought it was just metacognition, just like, oh, I'm just thinking about my thinking, right? Nah, I also found out it's partially anxiety as well. Just talking about the thing. That's also how I express my anxiety. I talk about the stuff that bothers me. So this is therapeutic. This podcast is therapeutic because dear God, a lot of these red pillars, man, I don't wish ill upon them. Like I don't wish like horrible things to happen to them. I really don't. I just wish them less success in their life. Right? Again, I'm not wishing them to get hit by a car or to get stabbed to death or die. None of that. That is too extreme. What I am wishing for is that they become less successful. Okay. Um, Not so much so they become homeless and they start doing hardcore drugs. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I just mean just less successful. To the point where they go like, "Hey, can I sustain my red pill business doing this?" And the answer is no, and then they stop doing that. That's what I would like. That is the goal. The goal that they stop. Just and I know they won't. I know they won't. Right. Ever since Kevin Samuels passed away, rest in peace. Ever since he passed away, at least in my opinion, there's been an uptick, or not an uptick. It would be on an uptick at this point. It's just a super increase of just these dudes just being so freaking weird, just hitting on women. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't make any sense. I remember one time my professor or someone told me, it's like the advice you take from somebody. When I say you take it, like not just listen, but you take the advice and you actually implement it, right? The advice takes somebody. You are literally living a mini life of their own, right? If you want to be that person, follow their advice. Okay, so if you want to be Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Donald Trump, right? Listen to their advice and listen to the things that they've done in order to become successful to that level. If you want to be theoretically, like a Barack Obama, if you want to be theoretically a Tom Brady or anyone else who's successful as a man, you follow their advice in that aspect. But what the hell do I know? I am a teacher. I'm married with one kid, and I still live with my folks. So I'm broke. I am broke as hell, man. Broke as hell, dude. Whew, my ADHD, man. My ADHD. Evan's back. No, he's not. He's back again. No, he's not. He's not here. I think I have a great time editing this. He's gonna be like, "Look, what the hell?" I'm like, "You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome."
So one time I asked a girl to take a picture with a toothbrush instead of the potato.
Mm-hmm.
And she did. And I was like, okay, but does she have pictures with toothbrushes ready? Like,
Come on, you can't. No, you can't. No, no,
so
no.
like part of me was like, no, but here's why. Because she was so bad. She was so bad. I'm like, and also some of the pictures, like, I know this is kind of a first world thought, but like the camera was like, she was really fine, but she was fine in like you kind of were saying, like it looked like a 2010 like digital camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe she can't afford a. I mean, again, it's kind of like it borders between street smarts and am I being an asshole that she doesn't have the same phone I do. Not that I always get the right iPhone, but like I'm years behind. But I'm saying it's didn't look like iPhone. Anyway, so yeah, I told my boys, all right, guys, here's where I am. As a man, I do this too. It's not just women. I'm like, in case I get fucking, I don't know, jumped. No, and she was real. She was, but she was a working lady in Japan, and part of the reason I wasn't sure what was happening, but thankfully, all of it was real. All her, I
Mm.
did not say it. All of her was very real. Thankfully, I did not wake up in another borough or state or zip code. But that's one thing you can do. There are these things, but now, like, yes, we had that, and we had to avoid. I mean, all right, don't get me wrong. Back in the day, do you remember like Maury or Dr. Phil when people would be talking to like someone and they wouldn't go on the phone, they wouldn't go on FaceTime, they wouldn't meet them, and they thought they were getting married? Be like, no, it's real. One lady thought it was Usher. Another lady thought it was Denzel Washington. Another lady thought it was Tyler Perry.
You know, there's a whole show for this, right? It's called Catfish.
Okay, let me talk about Catfish. Catfish, motherfuckers were blown away by because we said reverse image search. I was like, that's all they. It's like, whoa, how'd you do that, dude? I was like trying to figure it out. I'm like, bro, it's reverse image search. That's all he did. Anyway,
Remember, common sense is not common.
yes. So what my concern is that, like Galloway was in the recent talk on Paul Brunson's show, that men after a certain point are going to be so either disillusioned, angry, so broke, honestly, in that part I can understand to some extent, but like they're so disaffected that they're going to pretty much is going to be a significant, like even if 10% of men had AI girlfriends, I would be concerned. That's way too many. But because it's not even like that back in the day, it's like, no, now she can adapt to you, look how you want. So many people interact online for so long anyway.
Mhm.
And we're saying girlfriends, like, obviously, most people are going.
You cut out, man. The red pill got him. They hate Evan. That's what happened. They're like, nah, this man's speaking heat and facts. Cut him off now. That's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, you can't be doing this, right? I understand Evan and Heat are 4 letters, but you can't do it back to back like this. That's the reason why they keep cutting you off. Oh man. Nah, nothing, man. Nothing.
All right, I think it's back now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I know AI is a lot of money, but come on. Like, let me have my little Twitch money, okay? Jesus Christ. Yeah, it would bother me if 10%. We shouldn't be profiting off that anyway if 10% of motherfuckers have AI girlfriends. But I was going to say, like, what a lot of those dudes may end up having is like it'll replace dating. Perhaps one day they'll want a wife. Perhaps one day they'll want a kid even. Maybe. But what's either going to happen is that too significant portion of the population has everything replaced through AI, or what I think is going to happen more often is that they just won't go out and date. Kind of like the things that most of us do before we find the right person, kind of the experiences that we have. Sometimes
Mhm.
the ones we fumble through, sometimes the ones that are embarrassing, the ones that suck are great. They're not going to, I think what's more likely is they're not going to have that. And then when they finally start dating or even dating to find their wife, it's like, bro, until 30, whatever, you were talking to a robot.
So this is gonna be no. I completely agree with what you're saying,
Mhm.
and I think also if it's some of them, it's kind of like one of those things. Like if it's just them by themselves, and I hope it's not like 10%. But let's say like it's 2% of all
Mhm.
eligible single men who wants to have an online
Mhm.
girlfriend, an AI girlfriend, and an AI wife, and an AI family.
Mhm.
If that's what they truly want, then part of it's kind of like let them be. They're not hurting nobody, hurting nobody else. Just it's kind of like that that sad dog who runs around in a circle, just chasing his own tail. And you're like, hey bud, like you want a new toy? And he's like, he's like, nah, he just wants it. Some of them, just leave them be.
Okay.
Just leave them
Yes.
be. And
Fair point.
they'll get old and they'll die alone. And their AI family will live on until they stop paying bills and then they get deleted from the server. Right? Whatever.
Uh,
Let them
like
let
your
them live a little bit.
like your basketball 2K career thing.
That still hurts.
That's gonna hurt more than a fucking
that,
family.
like that still hurts.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's more, to be honest, it was more so like it was not prepared. It was came so suddenly and out of nowhere. I was like, wait, that's it? It's
That's
over?
it.
So yeah, no, exactly like that, right? If it's hurting nobody else, all right, fine. But if it's like a a dude who has a girlfriend and he has an AI girlfriend, like you're cheating. If you have a wife and a family and you have a AI family and an AI wife, you spend more time with them, you're cheating, right? You might be like, oh, it's not a real person, da da da. Yeah, sure, but you're spending your time and money on something that is not
Right.
real and tangible, and making someone else millions and billions of dollars instead of giving it to us. Listen. I'm not saying that will save the world, but it'll help out a lot more.
Here's the thing. We will do better than the people who do have billions of dollars. We're not
Yes.
going to do worse.
No.
Anyway, but to your point, okay, first of all, then there's a lot of cheaters out there because you know that shit is happening right now.
Oh yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Two, I'm more concerned of like the guy that's like, I'm gonna just date. Like, I'm concerned they will use AI
Ah, gotcha.
experience before they find their wife and family and think that that's gonna work.
It kind of makes me
Dating
think.
and rejection, good shit and everything.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we were saying before of like, theoretical versus practical, right? It's like
Yeah.
theoretically, right? You have your AI girlfriend. Well, technically, AI girlfriends have existed like
Yeah,
years,
it's
right?
not like this, but yeah.
It's not like this, but
Right.
you had the online dating
Mhm.
simulating game. You have to say the right things to the girl in order to like you, da 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 da, right? And listen, I won't lie. In high school, I played those games, right? Because I wanted a girlfriend. I was like, this is how you get a girlfriend, and I applied it to real life. Guys, it doesn't work.
No.
Okay,
Mhm.
right? It's similar like when you have a career in any sports
Mhm.
video game, and you go play the real game in real life. It doesn't carry over, right? Those little virtual coins you have invested into that player you might feel like you can do it, and then you go do it in real life. It doesn't work because you didn't do the thing. Your player did. You did not. So how are you supposed to get better if you don't practice? So that's
Yeah.
yeah.
But just like in sports, you don't fail, and you don't certainly fail publicly, like now all failures can be public. Like at any given moment, if a woman dubs you loudly, you might get filmed with that happening, which sucks, even just in your high school or whatever, because all kids got camera
Yeah.
phones. But and I have empathy for that, but there is no I'm just concerned that there's going to be a large generation of men like this who are it's almost like what you first said about like the one just leave him alone. That's less of a problem. It's more of a problem when these people now hold certain women to those standards, or like you said, think that the things are going to apply that won't. And I think it's going to be an entire population of men at some point, unless we regulate AI, which we're not going to. Like if Congress said 10 years, it'll be interesting because there might be 10 years of men who now someone finally does regulate it, and now they do have to go outside, and they do have to take a girl at TGI Fridays like we did, or fucking Applebee's when that used to be a flex.
Oof, yeah.
And they're not going to know how to deal with half of the things. So I really think we're setting ourselves up here, and again, a reason for intervention. But I want to, with this week, and then I want to close with, I'm going to share this, and we'll see if it works, because last time I did a share, it didn't work. And then when I had you and your wife come on, it did work somehow. So let's see.
Into romantic relationships.
Sure.
All right. So this is the area
Yeah.
that I was so fascinating to see you begin talking about.
Yeah.
And so let's start with dating.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know that, or some will say that men have a hard time when it
Yep.
comes to dating.
Yep.
Others will say, no, we're living in the patriarchy. Men have a very easy time
Yeah.
when it comes to dating.
Yep.
What's your position?
Well, the answer is yes. So people used to meet mates through friends, school, and work. Now, hands down, number one is online dating.
Yes.
And whenever you digitize a marketplace, there's a consolidation of winner take most. So you consolidate, you digitize retail, one player ends up with 50%. Amazon. You digitize information, one player ends up with 90% of queries. Google. You digitize online connections, one company ends up with 2/3 of all social media globally outside of China. That's Meta. We digitize dating, and there is a winner take most environment now, and that is the top 10%. 50 men on Tinder, 50 women. 46 of the women will show all of their attention to just 4 men. Because the
All right. I want to stop there first. Did you hear that first?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay. I want to stop there first. I'm not sure where he gets that study from, but I first want to kind of open, because there's several parts I want to skip to. So first, when it comes to online dating and the state of dating there, that again, these types of rejections and this lack of hope put someone towards AI dating, right? If they
Mhm.
can't even get it this way, the way the majority of people are, they're going to take the other person's agency completely out. I do not know where that statistic comes from, but I'll tell you this much. We know that if that smaller percentage of women in overall choose if that large percentage of women choose that small percentage of men, we're not like the world fucking ends in a
Yeah.
short amount
Yeah.
of time. It's gonna while the preference might be there are multiple caveats here. One, it's online dating. There's different kinds of online dating. The ones that are the swipe mode that Match.com owns, which I believe is Tinder, Hinge, OkCupid, and then Bumble's now its own thing. But they're worse with this because it's easier to make choices.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's the case, I also don't want to put shit out there that makes men lose hope. I don't necessarily believe that is entirely true and contextual, but even if it is, the problem is we're looking at these percentages like they matter. We both have played video games. Percentages can matter in things like that, but this isn't a fucking video game. You don't need a high percentage. You don't need a high accuracy rating if you're playing a first-person shooter. You're like right there. You know what you need? A couple motherfuckers. You need
Yep.
just a few people to have meaningful experiences with, or just one, even if you're lucky enough. And then that's it. But for most of us, if you get 5% match rate, but that 5% is out of 100 people at a time, right? What's wrong with 5 dates? Those are 5 women that you didn't know before that took an interest in you. See the difference between what I want to put forth, even in ideology, and what the red pill community is angry at the 95%. Well,
Yeah.
I'm telling you to focus on the 5 and do the best you can with that, because that's the only ideology that's going to get you anywhere. And it doesn't mean one of those 5, you know, maybe we're on match with them, did on shitty dates, sure. But the more you try, and also the more you try different modalities, not just online dating, not just one online dating, maybe try Bumble and Tinder, maybe go to bars, try to still meet people through friends, go to meetups, go to, you know, whatever it is you like. You like anime. I know you're not single, but if you were still single, maybe you go to an anime meetup. Maybe I would go to, I went to an actors meetup and met people. Like, mix it up. Yeah, I'll play Fortnite until like 2 a.m. I know you can put effort into these things, okay? I'm not trying to shit on gamers. I'm just saying. I see the effort where I see it.
But I'm an alpha male, Evan. I'm supposed to get everyone. I am the ideal male. Everyone loves me and my ideals and everything that I say. And if you don't love me and appreciate me for what I am, then you are the villain in my life, because I'm the hero in my life, because I see myself as the greatest thing of all time. So therefore you're wrong. Okay? Right? And yes, this morning I had 1,400 tons of whey men protein, and I had 13 shots of red pill, and of course, you know, I listen to the Bible scriptures of Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit. So yeah, that's I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah, and you get your like direct prescription of, I don't know, fucking horse cock injection from
Jesus Christ.
from like Dr. Peterson of like to be how to be a real man.
You know, Dr. Peterson used to be all right, at least in my personal book. He used to be all right to some degree. I was like, all right, I don't agree with everything you're saying, but at least you have some
semi-serious human being.
Yeah, nowadays I'm kind of like, man, I don't even know where you're headed.
Yeah, but you know, I don't doubt that it's hard. I know firsthand how hard it is online. I just don't like to also reduce hope. So I'm gonna go. So there's some ways to go. So now, what I like, at least he does go now to what should men aspire to in dating.
Architecture and interior design.
So what is your take on what she's saying, but also to your point of,
at Fiverr, we offer 3D rendering services, but you probably already know it.
what role do we play as men, and what should we be aspiring to be doing, especially when it comes to dating?
Look, at the end of the day, you got to contribute. And I think the divorce rates have skyrocketed. And some of that is a good thing, because women no longer feel economically indentured to a man. That's a good thing.
Yes.
And men are not keeping pace with women. Women are ascending economically. Men are not ascending domestically and logistically at home. I mean, they are a little bit. And there are some relationships where it works out. The dad stays home. They figure it out. Good for them. And I think it's amazing that women are doing it for themselves. I don't think we should do anything to get in the way of that. If we hadn't embraced women in the workplace, we wouldn't have won World War II. We figured out that women can build P-51 Mustangs as well as men. If we hadn't encouraged women to enter the workforce in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we'd be a second-rate power to China. this notion that the far right says, oh, women wake up at 35 and they went for their career, now they're childless and they're miserable. So you're suggesting they should have been alone and broke? That doesn't work either. That's worse. Good for them.
Right.
So this notion that there's a trade-off or it's a zero-sum game, I don't think is accurate. But, and this is where your friend's going to get pissed off. Is she having sex with men who make less money than her? It's an honest
That's a
question.
great question.
Because-
we'll go back and ask her now.
Because the data I see is generally speaking. Let me really fill up your comment section with negative vibes. A lot of women will say, I just want a sensitive man. And I joke, well, that just leaves two people in the car crying and the parallel parking spot empty. Do women really want a sensitive man? Or do they want a man that notices their life? You deserve to have stages where strangers clap for you. You deserve to make money and have economic independence. You deserve to be noticed of all the shit you are bringing to the table and the emotional labor. And I need to step up with emotional labor. And I may not understand certain things that are important to you, but if it's important to you, it's important to me, right? I notice how hard it is to try and contribute emotionally to the household or professionally, economically, and also all these expectations that at the same time you're supposed to be in great shape and hot and fashionable at the same. Society kind of says to women, it says to men, be economically viable. That's it. Be economically viable. It says to women, be fucking Wonder Woman. Be everything. Be professional. Be good looking. Do Pilates. Be kind. Be nurturing, and be a great mom in your spare time. So the stresses on women are incredible. Does your partner notice, right?
Right.
But I'm not sure. I don't see data showing that women are really drawn to, quote unquote, a sensitive man.
So I want to pause it there because I think he brings up some good points here, but I also don't want it to be misconstrued that sensitivity and attentiveness is a problem. I think, oh shit, did it go out again? Jesus fucking Christ.
No, man. I just mute my mic because
Okay.
I was drinking some water.
Oh, good. I agree that we as a society have made it more sexy, therefore perhaps attractive and worthy of a sexual partner for men to make more money, right? I think that's true. I don't think because that's true, it should incentivize men to not be sensitive to the things that he's talking about that he admits, and I believe also, are very real pressures on women. Because he's right. Women have an immense amount of pressures on them. And the part that he left out that I always bring up is, and 1 in 3 are sexually assaulted, right? We're also the main predator. So that being said, unless the capacity is there for a man to be able to be that aware, to be able to be that kind, if the capacity is not there, what's going to end up happening, if we don't believe the capacity is there, what's going to end up happening is, well, I might as well go with the devil I know, which is this type of guy who maybe makes a lot of money and a piece of shit, but I know that guy. That's it. So we have to believe the capacity is there for a man to be those things, to be aware of those things. That way, there's an alternative that can be an equally good partner, sexual partner, long-term relationship partner. I don't think it's necessarily that women don't want a sensitive man. I think that society has made it so that there's a trade-off. Again, we talked about preferred flaws. The sensitive man simply is one lesser than a man who doesn't have that sensitivity, because the man who doesn't have that sensitivity then has all these other masculine things that some of them could be dangerous, some of them are normal and good. But we have to say, well, the man who's less of a menace is always better than the man who's more of a menace, regardless. Yeah. And 2, the man who is the man who is sensitive can also be the man who is strong. The man who is sensitive can also be the man who has the masculine qualities that are the good ones, like, you know, doing your, being passionate about things, working out, uh, being protective in as best you can way, providing the best you can, all of those things. That all of those things can go with a sensitive person. The problem is we haven't allowed for the capacity, I think, as a society. And people who have sensitivity, many times as a society, we do not promote to high positions. We talked about all the assholes that end up running this country and end up positions of power, even the people who end up having big platforms like Andrew Tate. But it's one of those things we have to believe the capacity exists for it to exist in reality. If we don't believe it can exist, it will never exist. So that's my where I want to step in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think another issue is the word sensitive or insensitivity, right? I think we equate sensitive as being weak, right? I think that's just like, oh, like for for example, uh Bill is making fun of Mike's Mike's artwork, right? He's making jokes about it. And then Mike's defending himself, and then Bill's like, "Why being so sensitive?" Right?
Mhm.
And it's just like, why do you care about this thing? Why being so weak about it? Right? You should be strong. You should be able to take this insult, take these jokes, and move on with your life all the time. I think maybe because at this point, sensitive has been used as being weak. It's not that it's a bad thing. Not that. What I think I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to work this out, is that maybe we need another word for sensitive, right? Maybe, right, when I think one thing is like when women say, "I want a sensitive man," I think a lot of men hear that as like, "Oh, you want someone who's gonna cry all the time," just like as Scott Galloway said, right? Who's gonna cry all the time, who's gonna just feel your emotions and just be like, "Oh my God, girl, it's okay. Like I'm with you all the time." I don't think that's what women are trying to say, right? And Scott Galloway brought up was like, can someone be able to do the emotional labor? I think what women are trying to say is, I want someone who's aware of the fact that I am tired of shit, I'm exhausted, and go take out the garbage, right? I don't want to tell you to take out the garbage.
Right.
Listen, this is my fault, and I'll admit this, right? Because I travel so far, and I'll say multiple factors. Because I travel so far, because of the stress of my job, because I do too many things at once, and because I also have ADHD, I'll admit, like, my personal home life, or like my personal labor around my little area of the house, is not up to par, right? I'll admit that it's subpar, right? And my wife complains to me about it. I'm like, girl, I know, I see it.
All right, that's step one.
Right? Step one is acknowledging it. And like last Saturday, I did the laundry, right? Just like 2 or 3 loads of laundry. She's like, "Thank you for doing that." I didn't do it right, but it's like, "Thank you for doing that," right? And then yesterday, I got yelled at because I took off my backpack in our bedroom. She's like, "You don't see I freaking cleaned here, right?" And I'm just like, yeah, but I want my kid. So, but all that to say is the fact that, hey, listen, right? I'm not perfect. I fucked up, but it's just the fact that, like, hey, I can at least be like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I messed up, right? And I think in that sense, that's me being sensitive. It's just being aware of the fact that my wife did some sort of hard work, and be like, yeah, you did this thing, and I'm making it worse. I'm making it harder for you. And we even spoke about it. We spoke about the fact, like, like when we used to live in our own apartment. Yes, we didn't have a kid, but like when I was closer to work, I was a lot better with doing things around the house. Right? I used to make a wife coffee almost every morning. So much so that some mornings or some weeks she'd be like, "Stop making me coffee. I don't want coffee this week." And I was like, "All right, but it's a habit, so I'm gonna keep doing it." So either you fucking drink it, or you. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that's what it is. Hi, Ma. I think that when women say they want someone who's sensitive, men hear it as like they want someone who's weak and is going to cry all the time. It's like, no, they just want someone who can see the fact that they're working hard, doing hard stuff, and they just want to be helped out or just heard. Right? Sometimes you just want to be just heard.
Right. And honestly, like men, again, men seeing women as equal, capable humans that are empathetic will help them see us as those things too. Like it goes back so to the simple thing: treat people how you want to be treated, right? If you had a hard day at work and, for example, you fell asleep and maybe she asked you to do something she didn't realize you were this close to a fucking nap and you were just about to knock out. And then you don't respond and she's like, why is he not responding? Then she sees you knocked out. You would want her to what? Be like, you know what? He had a hard day. He's asleep.
Nah, screw that. Wake up. Wake up. Got work to do.
Well, once in a while, I hope you're allowed to take a nap. Or am I fucking up the dynamic here?
In the words of Nas, sleep is a cousin to death.
Yeah, I'll sleep is coming to death. But when does your wife basically say, okay, I get it, you're tired?
Honestly, I feel like it's between me and my wife. It's a game of who's more tired, right?
Right.
And the thing is, well, our tired is two different tired. So again, back to our last podcast, it's comparing a racing game versus a sports game.
Right.
Like yes, they're both technically like they're competition, but there's different ways to win it.
Mhm.
She's with our kid all day, right? Which is understimulating,
Mhm.
right? It's understimulating. I'm around adults and kids all day. I'm overstimulated,
Overstimulated. Right.
right? When I come home, I just want to hold my kid and just hang out with my kid, right? Because it's easy for me. My wife wants to talk to me and get stimulation. She wants some adult conversation. So, and also physically speaking, I'm walking around, standing, moving all day, right? So when I come home, like physically speaking, like I don't want to take out the garbage. I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to make the bed. I don't want to do any of those stuff. I just want to just be a potato. My wife, on the other hand, because she's been with a baby all day, yeah, she's moving now, but it's just, again, it's not the same as with middle school children, right? So she's physically understimulated, she's mentally understimulated, and she just wants just more. And then she's also tired because she's doing the dishes, washing multiple bottles, cleaning our room. Although I'll admit she's a little bit of a neat freak, so it's a little bit of her fault. The fact that she cleans sometimes twice a day. I'm like, girl, you did it once, you don't got to do it twice. But that's beside the point, right? So it's a competition of who's more tired, and I have won one battle so far. 1-1 to her at least 90.
Yeah, but she supports you in other ways. Clearly, this is one.
Oh yeah.
The score hasn't been there, but she supports you when you're not feeling great about yourself. You've mentioned several times when
Yeah.
are questioning things or at a crossroads, going through it. I think like the sensitivity that you can display in those moments, it's because you display the sensitivity towards her for her what she has to go through, right?
Yeah.
That the reciprocity can be there. So men should be like taught to be empathetic human beings if they want to be on the receiving end of it. And also there's compromise. That's normal. The compromises are what the fact that you've won one battle is a compromise to some extent, but you're okay with that. But there's certain things you probably wouldn't want to compromise on. Like if she said, never play a video game, watch anime again, stop doing that shit.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. In fact, before we started dating, I told not before we started dating, like when we started dating, I told her, listen, because I had an ex-girlfriend who got between me and martial arts. I was like, just so you know, right? Just so you know, like martial arts comes first. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, martial arts comes first. And I told her, like, at least at my school, everything on third Saturdays is basically all the best students come together and train together, right? It's third Saturdays. And I told her, don't ask me for shit on that day. I am basically not available from this time to this time.
Right.
And then she's like, well, what if it's a funeral? I'm like, that's an exception. She's like, what if it's our wedding? I'm like, we're planning around it another time.
It's always the absolute worst thing that's so unlikely to happen.
Yeah.
But
And she's like, what if I'm in the hospital? I'm like, again, there are exceptions, right? There are always exceptions.
yeah, and they all happen to fall right now. Yeah. But yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But-
No, I see what you mean. But see, yeah, these are compromises. But yeah, it's interesting that what he's saying is sensitivity is more of an outward and I agree with him. I think women will I'm not saying there aren't women that still have very patriarchal views. That's right. Women who embrace patriarchy themselves, even if they complain about it. It exists. It's why the problem is not women. The problem is these views, these gender, I call them constraints, that hold men back and that prevent men from receiving empathy and being empathetic human beings. But if you want someone to support you, and again, not what you see in the red pill group, so much about the red pill groups about dominance. And the interesting thing is a lot of people who end up being drawn to it are actually very hurt people. So you're
Yep.
not in a community that cares about you getting support and hurt and empathy and reciprocity. You're in a community that only wants you to dominate, and not in the sexy, like consensual way, dominate over women. That's it. They want you to assert your dominance every single day over women and get what you want. And the truth of the matter is, it's not going to happen. I don't care who says it happens. There's no way. The only way that happens is you end up on a true crime show. Okay? That's the only way it happens.
God.
Seriously. And if that's what you want, great. FBI Jim, open up. But if you want something reciprocal, you have to show the sensitivity and empathy towards someone. And that's what Scott's saying, you're saying, I'm saying, like, realize what women go through. Realize, be aware of it. Be aware of the world in which she operates and has to navigate. And if you do that, yes, some women won't return the favor. Don't fucking date them. Break up with them. Are you suddenly helpless? Like, oh, but so many experiences. Yes, and a lot of women have experiences being assaulted and fucking catcalled, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to be thrown in those too. And if you do, again, ID Discovery, that's your channel. End up on it, okay? Like I don't know what you want. Ultimately, again, not looking for percentages, looking for the one. As long as you're not in like polyamory, you're looking for one person that best has these things. And these are the things to look for in someone, not complain about all the others that don't have it. And I say that's about men and women. It's like, don't let all of your problems with past men and past women, past experiences, cloud the future and your ability to acknowledge someone to have the capacity to have those things that you really value and have the capacity to see what's in front of you. Okay. Sometimes we get too bogged down in that and we don't refocus and see, okay, but this is a new person. We have to protect ourselves, but we can't do it so much that we can't see them as a new person and attribute all this other shit that they're not doing. So sensitivity, yes, but sensitivity to what? Being aware, being cognizant. You can do all those things and still be a confident man. You can do all those things, still fix a tire. Which, you know, I don't even know if I've done that. I fixed a pipe though. But yeah. I think it's not the redaction of the sensitivity, it's the and. Being in touch with your own emotions, but also being able to be aware and cognizant of someone else. And also, I believe, what that person encounters in the world as a woman.
Well, my wife just called me and I am in deep shit.
And that is how we end today's show.
Well, it's not the deepest shit I've been in, but I'm in some shit for myself. So yeah.
This is what it's really about, people. You're in deep shit, you swim out of it. This is what it's really about. It's not all No fucking what is it? Fairies and
Rainbows and butterflies. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
it's not that every day.
Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm out of deep shit, and they just take it and throw it right back. You're like, remember that thing you did 2 years ago? I'm like, yeah,
And
this,
that's
this is
work on.
accounts.
But-
yeah,
But you know what? Like, unless you want to be perpetually single, you have to find the person that you think is worthy of being in deep shit with to be on the other end of the deep shit. So
yeah, essentially. But it's fine.
So-
It's fine. It'll all work out anyways.
that's pilled. And this is the experience that we want. I don't know. To have a holistic, really meaningful, layered life should be the goal with a woman. If we're talking about this from the perspective of a man, not some one-dimensional basic shit. So, all right, my friend who's actually married. Any parting words?
Yeah, go be a Forrest Gump. Don't be Andrew Tate. That's my
Yes.
parting words.
Yes, definitely. And there's nothing that says Forrest Gump can't do buys and tries and take way, and like nothing's stopping him.
Nothing.
Nothing stopping you from doing both. Having a good conscience and good cholesterol and body weight and all the things you're looking at. So, all right, see you next time. Peace.